everybody. This is Moby's Haberdashery, and today I just wanted to show you my process for which we make Moby's adorable bow ties. He is so fashionable, so dapper, we can hardly stand it. And you know, Moby's a little bit uncivilized. He's a rowdy boy, he's a punk rock mosh pit, and so taking him out to the mall and to public places and having him sit with me at dinner and going out to friends' place, this just always helps. I love to shop and I love to go to fancy restaurants, and that's what he's trained for, and it's my life, so he's gonna have to adapt. And basically I'm just the girl living in his world, actually. But these cute little bow ties are really fun to make. I kind of copied this from a design that I found on our trip through New Orleans, actually. I was moving from Texas to Miami, and I just love the design so much. So I kind of copied it. It's my own version of it. Theirs was a little bit more elaborate. I have basically an 8th grade sewing skill level. So I just eyeball things and trace things, and what I can't do, I don't. But I think these came out really good. I'm just gonna show you my process. So basically my idea when I moved to the South, I'm actually in Charleston now in South Carolina, and I absolutely love it here. The people are amazing. You know, the landscape is beautiful. It's got cobblestones, it's got a soul. And on my first trip here, I had no expectations. I didn't do any research, and I just fell in love with it. And I just looked around, and even though it's the South and it's hot and it's sweltering, as opposed to South Beach in Miami, women tend to actually wear clothes here that doesn't entirely consist of neon spandex and fishnet. So I looked around at how wonderfully the women were dressed, and even the men were very dapper too. Not to say all, it is a college town, no doubt. But I did see some of the older gentlemen here, like still suiting up in seersucker and wearing bow ties. And I just got this idea when I moved here. I was like, you know what? I want to do this for Moby and for puppies, because anybody who has a dog loves to dress them up, spend stupid money on things for your dog. Like, I got a knockoff Fendi sweater for Moby one day just because I thought, oh my god, I have to have it. It was completely out of my budget. But you know, whatever. It's a lot of fun, and Moby loves the attention too. So I just kind of wanted to show you my process here today. This looks like it's gonna be for a medium to large dog. Moby weighs about 17 pounds. So this is his actual bow tie that I made for him. This is the first run on this. So basically my idea was to upcycle used clothing that I found here in Charleston, you know, wherever, Goodwill. Sometimes they have little vintage shops. But I just, you know, found these fabrics and I mix and match them together, and this one just happens to be corduroy. I do think that this particular one got cut on the larger side, which is fine. I don't really have sizes. Like I said, I kind of just eyeball everything. But this is probably going to be for a medium to large dog. So I would say that this one in particular, the idea was to do like 2 sizes, small to medium and then medium to large size dogs. I think this would probably be oversized for a dog that was under mm, 15 pounds. This is about the right size for him. So we're talking about, like a Jack Russell, like a small poodle breed, a Bichon, whatever you got. It doesn't matter. All dogs are beautiful. I don't believe in purchasing and paying crazy money for a dog when there are so many that, need homes and need help. And I don't think that just because you pay money for a breed that you're actually going to get, that dog personality that you want. I feel like dogs have souls just like people do, and the nicest families can somehow get born, wild childs, to put it nicely, okay? Moby is a wild child, and, he's probably inbred. They told me he was a schnoodle, and that's good enough information for me, I would say. So he's a poodle mix. I do like poodle mixes of any kind because they don't shed and they're very smart. And I wanted someone that I could throw into a handbag if I needed to. And so Moby just turned out to be a good size. I didn't know how big he was going to get. Of course, I didn't know what his demeanor was going to be. But I do think he was kind of a rescue mission because he was with a family. I adopted him from a family back in Texas. They got him as a COVID project, and I don't think he was abused, but they got him as a COVID project for the kids. I guess they had a couple kids at home from school, and they just terrorized him. I don't think he was abused, but they probably stomped and squeezed and yelled and screamed and squished and pulled and all the things kids do when they think they have a live doll in front of them. So the poor thing, when I got him, he was just shaking and terrified. He, didn't have any hair. He just looked like a drowned possum. Poor thing. And I had a dog that I had with me. I had rescued from a Manhattan shelter. She was at a kill shelter. Anouk, Miss Anouk. She was probably the best dog ever. She was 5. We'll go into that another day. But she passed away during COVID. And I've never experienced grief like that before. So I cried every day for 5 months straight. Not all day, but at least once a day, I'd see a tuft of her hair fly by, or, little scratches she made on something, or, one of her toys. Like, I was a mess. I never knew anything like it. And I just thought, you know what, during COVID, like, I just need to figure my life out. I was with that dog for 5 years. I wasn't planning on getting another dog. I was going to do the whole yachting thing, move to Miami and Fort Lauderdale, get all my credentials and stuff. And, can't take your dog on a boat. So, anyway, no plans to get a dog, and I was ready to get out of Texas and get going with my life. And just as I had all my boxes lined up at the door ready to go, one of my clients, I'm also a hairdresser, we'll get into that one too another day, but she said, oh, hey, are you still looking for another dog? I know this family, and they got this puppy as a COVID project, and the kids are overwhelming him, and they're not taking very good care of him. So, this dog needs a home. And I just thought, I'm really not looking for another dog. I just kind of wanted a clean slate and all that. And, how did I do that one? Got a nice clean stitch. So we're just gonna do, I'm gonna try to make this just a very loose kind of tack down stitch, because that's what we're doing. We need to pull in these inseam here. Anyway, let's get this going. So I wasn't gonna get a dog. I was all packed up, and she said, "Oh, they're gonna put him on Craigslist." And I said, "No, I'm not really looking for a dog." And I said, "Well, what's the story?" And so she pulls his little profile up on Craigslist, his little posting, and this dog, this poor dog, I mean, he just looked pathetic. I mean, if he had a caption, it was saying, "Help me, please, help me." This poor little dog was just, I mean, he was a mess. He was a mess. And every picture in the background was, brown. Brown dirt backyard, brown bed, just like brown sofa. I mean, he was in the mud. So I have a big heart, and I said, okay, let me check him out. I don't want a dog. I don't want a puppy. I don't want a white dog. I don't want a boy. And I don't want a dog over 10 pounds. And, well, Novi just turned out to be all those wonderful things. And I didn't have a car at the time. My cousin drove me out to see him at an HEB parking lot. And the woman, bless her heart, she looked like she was probably heavily medicated. And her daughter was, just whatever, no judgment, but I just thought, this poor dog. And my cousin, she's crazy. She keeps her dogs in the backyard. We're just very different dog people. But she was asking 20 questions. Let me see his papers. Is he really a certified schnoodle? You're saying that he's a designer dog, I want to see his papers. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, well, he's had all his shots, and I guess she was giving him the shots during COVID herself from like the feed store, whatever people do. And I just, she's asking all the hard questions, and I'm just looking at this poor dog in the back seat of this car, and I'm thinking like, I don't know. And I picked him up, and my cousin's like, I don't know. He doesn't look good. He's kind of a mess. Like, are you sure? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen. So we got into the car, and she's like, well, were you going to take that dog? Like, and I was like, yeah, well, I can't leave him here with these people, Like, obviously he needs help, and they don't want him. And now that I've seen him, I got to take care of him. And anyway, so gave him $120, whatever, no matter. Took him home, gave him a bath, and poor thing, first poop out in the yard. He was full of worms. He was a mess. He was a mess. I'm not gonna lie. Bless his heart. He's in the other room, so he can't hear me talking, but it just melted my heart, and I brought him back to life, and here we are 4 years later, I guess. So he had a lot to overcome. He wasn't house trained. And he had a lot of separation anxiety, and you'd tell him, come, and that meant run for cover, run under the nearest piece of furniture, table, bed, chair, whatever you can find that meant run. So, you know, I've really had to work with him, and I had to block off a lot of my furniture, like under my bed. I kind of had to put a little barricade so he couldn't get under there, because I was tired of crawling under there every time I needed to get him. And of course, he slept in the bed with me, and um, I think just love with animals heals all. So I think he was very happy. Oh, look how nice that looks. Okay, let's see if we can match up these seams. Might go a little tighter on this stitch. Okay. So yeah, Moby's like all of us, you know, we're all under construction. We're all a work in progress, and you know, he's definitely come a long way. Hey, yeah, that looks good. Okay, I'm happy. Let's move this a little bit closer. Let's see, is it perfect? I mean, it looks pretty good. Not bad. Okay. So what were we talking about? Yes, poor little Moby's entry into the world. Actually, I shouldn't call him poor thing. He's actually very lucky. I'm very lucky because, you know, poodle breeds are just so smart. So he's adapted really well, and, you know, I think the dogs, they feel the love. They know what's up. So Moby was born on July 20th, 2020. And guess what day that was? That was the same day that Anouk had transitioned to the other side. That was the day that Anouk crossed over the Rainbow Bridge. And I think there's something to it. As you get to know me more, you'll start to hear me talk about all my hullabaloo woo-woo ideas. But yeah, I think there's something to it. And as opposite energy and is opposite. You know, in the way they look, they couldn't be more opposite. Sometimes I look at him and I think a nuke is in there. When I first got Moby, you know, as a puppy, he was about 4 months old, and he just kind of had this blank, empty stare in his eyes. And now, when I look at him, sometimes I see a nuke in there, and I'm like, girlfriend, of all the dogs you could have sent me, you sent me this wild child. You know, not that it's his fault. He had to become my dog, but he had never been walked on a leash when I got him. So we were living downtown San Antonio. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I always say I'm from Texas because people just don't always know San Antonio. It's kind of a big, small town, and I live downtown in the historic district on the Riverwalk, so we were lucky to be able to take these beautiful walks. And it was completely empty. It was just a ghost town down there. But Moby had never been walked on a leash. He'd never been socialized. I don't think he'd ever seen another dog before, probably other than his own litter, you know, which is questionable. I don't know if I believe fully. I mean, he does look like a schnoodle. The woman that gave him to me said that he was a quarter schnauzer and poodle, and she showed me the pictures of his parents. Thanks to my cousin, who, you know, grilled her pretty hard about that. Let's see how far down we're gonna go with this. I feel like that's it. But yeah, so Moby was a little bit, and still is, very skittish. He doesn't like loud noises, and he might be autistic. He could be inbred. He could be part chicken and part dog. I don't know how they would come up with that combination, but you know, they can genetically modify our food. Maybe they can genetically modify our dogs with chickens. Who knows? But anyway, he's got a very interesting character, and I've just come to love him so much. And you know, I love all his quirks and his little idiosyncrasies. And I tell people he's on the spectrum. He does seem to be like a little optically confused sometimes by patterns and textures. When he was a puppy, he was so funny. Like, if the sidewalk changed from concrete to smooth stone, he would like put on the brakes and stop and like look all around and start to cry and hesitate as if he was about to fall into a black hole. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. So, you know, a lot of times I'd have to stop and pick him up and carry him across the thresholds. Anyway, I think it's funny now, but, you know, sure, it's terrifying for him. I don't, you know, what do you know when you come into this planet, when you're born on this earth and you're experiencing things for the first time? You know, I got a nuke when she was already 5 years old, so, you know, she kind of already knew what was up. Okay, let me see. How did I do this? Nope, that's wrong. That's wrong right there. I'll leave that one alone, but we're going to start the stitch, the base stitch all the way around, flip it inside. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Trying to walk and talk and chew gum at the same time is not one of my strong points. Okay. Focus. We're going to loosen up that stitch. Maybe get in a little closer this way. Okay, good enough. Actually, I want this tip to be more square than pointy. I'm going to back up here. Oh, shoot. Okay. Give me a few moments. We're going to refill this bobbin. And we'll be right back with the program.